Number 2. So today I wanted to speak on the thought of constantly progressing and not to lose yourself for someone, and also don't lose yourself when you lose someone. I have to write that down. Give me a sec. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. No one's even watching this, so it doesn't matter. But, okay. I'll say we'll start off with the continue to progress one, as that one is shortest. So, the thought of progression is constantly moving forward. But constantly moving forward doesn't mean not having setbacks, because setbacks are okay. What's not okay is when you have a setback and that causes you to think, I shouldn't do this, or I'm not strong enough to do this. You might not be prepared enough to do this. That's different. But one thing that everyone says is don't go into the thought process after every fault and rethink, why did this? Like, what's going on? What's wrong? Like, no. Rethink, yes. Restructure. But think of how you can improve rather than just focusing on your downsides. And focus on your strengths and use your strengths. That's quite important as well. You should be able to use your strengths. Sorry, I got quite hot. You should be able to use your strengths and understand what they are. Understand the things that people tell you constantly, right? I have been told plentiful of times that I seem to always try to be self-improving. I use that. I speak on that. I make sure that when I talk about something, I try to incorporate that because it's easier for me to speak on. It's easier for me to relate to because it's something that I have been complimented on, so it increases my, I shouldn't say Jeez, that car was loud. My self-confidence or my self-esteem on, I shouldn't say that, but rather I feel more safe talking about it. And I don't mean, oh, don't do something that's not safe. No, I mean, push your boundaries, right? Learn what is okay, what's not okay, but you should also understand what your safe area is. What's something that you can talk about for hours? What's something that you will feel easily comfortable speaking on or relating stuff to well? And I'm not going to say easily able to bullshit about, but easily able to connect stuff where the area of connection's a little gray. Because if you can, I'll give you an example. The Commerce Clause in U.S. v. Lopez to allow the government to be able to have control over gun laws in school, that's a stretch. But I'm sure the person who thought of it, I'm sure they were like, I know quite a bit about the Commerce Clause. I'll figure out a way to relate this. The connection, you can see how their brain made the connection. That's what you have to do. When you speak, you have to make sure that your brain has a connection. Going back to progress, you need to be moving forward and self-improving. Now, I know I'm talking circles here, and you want to hear me say, oh, well, what about this that you were just about to speak on? I don't remember what I was about to speak on, so I can't help you with that. I'll get to it eventually at some point. You just got to keep watching. But progression. Progression is the act of moving forward, and that's not without setbacks. I already said that. But you do have to understand that. After every time you fall back, reflect. And I mean reflect on what caused this? Was it an outside source or an inside source? And by that I mean, was it an action that you did or an action that someone else did that affected you? If it's someone else's action, you can't change their action. What you can do is you can try to prevent them from making that decision or from that thing impacting you as much. You can build a shield around you, a bubble per se, something to deflect that. So if someone were to make that mistake again, or not even a mistake, if someone were to do that thing again, it won't hit you as hard. It won't set you back as hard. It may nick you rather than hit you in the chest. It's not a fatal blow. It's just a wound. Big difference, right? Okay. With progress, though, it's hard. It's difficult. And I can speak on many things. I can speak on lifting. I can speak on hockey. I can speak on personality. But what I want to speak on is progress of learning who you are. Because that's the one that I really don't understand. So I think showing my uncomfortability here could be helpful. When you're progressing on something that's difficult, in my instance, I'll say self-progression and trying to mature and figure out who I am. I don't need to know that right now, but I should take steps towards figuring it out. And eventually I will. It's a natural thing. All progress is natural. And by that, I mean, if you have an input, you will get an output. It might not be the desired output. I'm not going to say if you train for 40 hours at tennis every week, you're going to be a star one day. It's not illogical. But without a baseline of talent, without a baseline of starting point, that becomes impractical to believe that, but it's still possible. I'm not saying put in more effort than 40 hours a week. I'm using that as a standard, because 40 hours a week is a lot of your time. It's a large chunk of time in a week, and people don't seem to recognize that. That's 8 hours for 5 days a week. That's a full-time job. So if you were to take tennis as your full-time job and say in this many, let's say 5 or 10 years, let's say 10 years, I think that's good. If you were to say at 17, in 10 years, I'm going to be the world champion, and every week I'm going to train for 40 hours. You can say that. You might not get that. Because if your baseline is subpar, it could be very difficult. That first 2 years could be baseline skills, bringing you up. But what I can tell you is if you put in the work for that 10 years, and you constantly put in the effort, and you don't miss, and you always, I don't want to say obsess, because you don't have to obsess over progression. You have to be conscious of it and understand and actively be moving towards it. If you are actively moving towards it for 10 years, and this is in the case of someone trying to be a world champion or something, if you're trying to progress yourself, it could take 2 months to find change. It took a week and a half for me to start recognizing some stuff. Also, outside sources do help, by the way. Ask others, hey, do you see me progressing here? Specifically people who are better than you. Ask them. Also, ask them, how can I improve? Because that's sort of stuff that you won't have in your reflection. You do want to know from the outside source. Anyway, moving back. I can tell you is after 10 years, you might not be world champion, but you're going to be the best that you could be in 10 years with your starting point. The thing is, you can never promise yourself a win or a desired goal. But what you should always be able to promise is, and not break this promise, is that if you put in the work, the outcome that will happen is the best possible outcome. And I'm not saying the best possible situation that you end up in. I'm saying that you will be the best that you can in that time frame with that much training. Now, could 40 hours a week be overkill? And could you have gotten better with 35? Possibly. That's why it's constant to progress. Not only in your physical skills and abilities on something, but also your knowledge on how to progress. I don't know if any of you are in the gym community. If you see in that, everyone's constantly trying to get the best physique that they can in the shortest time. Let's say 10 years per se, right? That's a long ass time. Actually, in grand scheme of things, 10 years is not that long. People got to recognize that 10 years is not a long time. In 10 years, you change a lot. That's why people think it's a lot of time. It's not a lot of time to do something constantly. It's hard, but it's not a lot of time. And I'm speaking as a 16-year-old. 10 years is over half my life. That's almost unheard of someone my age saying that. But if you're in the gym community, you notice how everyone is trying to become the most optimal, per se. And I use that with quotes because most people aren't fucking optimal. But if you were to train the right amount, everything on the site about your nutrition, on dot about training, but you only slept 4 hours a day, but that was constant, like you never dropped under 4 hours, and sometimes you got more, but you were consistently 4 average minimum, you could have done better with 8. But being 9 could be overkill for you. You could be a person who needs 10, depending on the stress of your outside life and your biomechanics and all your internal stuff. It could change per person. That's what you really need to figure out, actually. That's why self-experiments are helpful. But I digress. The part of that is you want to be progressing your information so that you can progress your progression better. Because if you're starting at this line, but then at some point you can jump to this line of progression, dude, that's insane. Even a change from here to here, that's a lot over a long time. But what you have to make sure is when you're progressing your knowledge in a good way, in a forward way, without backtracking. Some people come in with basics and they know a lot, but everyone throws information at them. They fall behind because they're trying to catch up with so much stuff that they already know, or they're being fed misinformation. Make sure your information is good, for the love of God. If it's opinion-based, understand it's opinion-based when you speak on it. Tell others, I got this, and it's not an evidence. It is an opinion. Now, evidence can come in the form of a mature person speaking, someone more mature than yourself, speaking on experience. That could be evidence. Most cases, evidence is not opinion. It can be, depending on the situation. That's what you really got to gauge. But, okay, we're going to move past progress and move towards the larger issues that I was told myself, because this was an issue. We'll start in the timeline order. When you find someone that you inherently want to be around a lot. This could be attraction, this could be you just like their personality. One thing you have to recognize that you cannot do is lose yourself. You can change, but you can't lose yourself. What do I mean? I mean that if you go shopping with someone, you have to remember your own style. As you guys are picking out, you can take their advice, but you can't let them make decisions because it's your life. Recognize that in every relationship, whether friendship or romantic, and when I use relationship, please recognize I mean a connection between two humans. Doesn't have to be romantic, doesn't have to be platonic. It could be just a general acquaintance. Sorry, I was trying to find a word. It could be a general acquaintance. The relationship, you have to stand your ground and be who you are. Because if they're not okay with that and they want you to change yourself, or if they're pushing you to change yourself, that's not okay. Pushing you to change for your goals and for better is different. How will you know when it's different? Because that will be encouragement. It will be, hey, you messed up here, but here's what you could have done. Even those tiny conversations where you think, oh, I fucked up, I can't do better, and they tell you, I'm not okay with you doing that, but here's what I would have liked instead. That's them supporting better goals. Them degrading and saying, you can't ever show your thoughts towards me, or you can't ever tell me what you want, is not okay. Because when that gets instilled in someone's brain, they don't show themselves anymore. You can't let that happen to you. You can't let someone, purposefully or inadvertently, you have to reflect. God damn, people, reflect on yourself, on every person in your life. Reflect on the impact that they have, the impact that yourself has on you, technology, health, everything. When you think about something, reflect on what it has towards you. I was air decking there for a moment. If any of y'all have ever seen Ricky Stenicki, I got real close up here. Well, what the fuck? Anyway, reflect, please. Understand the positive and negative applications someone has to your life. Sometimes it's good to keep someone around, even if they have negative implications to your life. But you have to know that the negatives are there and be conscious of them. You have to keep fighting that battle inside you to not allow that to affect you. Capiche? Yeah? 15 minutes in. We got 15 more. Please stay. We'll move on to not losing yourself after a loss. And then after that, it's freestyle. To not lose yourself after a loss is difficult. Because whether it's a passing of a loved one, passing of someone who you didn't care for, because that can also be affecting people, or losing a relationship is a big one as well. That's happened to me recently. It's probably why I'm like this right now. I'm hoping to stay like this because I honestly think I'm doing a little bit better than I was before. Oh shit. Okay. After a loss of any sort, you have to stay grounded. And I mean, you can't come out of a loss reverting back to who you were before the thing occurred. Now, if it's a loss of a parent, that's a little different because they were there your whole life. Or I hope they were. But if it's a loss of a relationship-wise, like romantic relationship, you can't become who you were before because you have to learn the lessons. Stay where you're at, but reflect on the relationship. Think, what changed for me for the worse in that? Drop it. Drop it. If you change negatively throughout the relationship, you have to know that. And right as you know that, if you know you changed negatively in a span of your life that wasn't too long, because I'm guessing a lot of people here haven't had those relationships that last over a quarter of your life. If there was something that lasted, that was a short period of time, and I mean in the grand scheme of your life, and it was negative from one person, drop that trait. Recognize it and work to fix it. All the positives, all of what you have become from this person, keep that. But when you get out of the relationship, you can't change. And I mean, it is not okay for you to become isolated. You can't come out of a relationship and put yourself in a room and isolate yourself so that you can get over it. You need social interaction. You need to reflect. And sometimes self-reflection needs to be done alone. I agree. I'm like that. This is how I self-reflect. Speaking. I self-reflect by speaking to others. Some people do it alone. I do a little bit of it alone. I understand that. Maybe not to the same degree, but I understand that feeling. It's a good one. It's reasonable. Very reasonable. Everyone's wired differently. But you can't come out of it losing who you were throughout the relationship, the good person who was in the relationship. Because everyone's good. Humans are inherently bad, but people are good. There's a difference. Human nature, your instincts can be bad. And I would say people's natural human instincts without reframing are bad, are inherently bad. But people are the reason why their human instincts change. They modify, they mold into what the person that they are. People, when they are aware and they are mature and reflective enough, and also willing to change and improve, they are inherently good. Difference. But when you get out, you can't go back to human nature. You can feel pain. You should feel that pain. It's needed. This was told to me very recently. Feel the pain. Understand it. Because that is the cost of bad decisions. It's one of those things that you have to experience. You have to experience the bottomless, painful pit in your stomach. The loss of appetite when you used to be a fat motherfucker. The feeling that you aren't enough anymore. And the wanting to just go through actions and not have thoughts anymore. The feeling of just wanting to be there. Just go through movements and be robotic almost. You have to feel it. You have to embrace it. I'm not saying become that robot, but I'm saying understand it. Understand what the robot's feeling. Understand what that part of you needs. It doesn't need fucking closure. You don't need closure. You don't need to talk to him again. You need to reflect. You need to understand. Well, you may have done wrong. Or you may have not done wrong. Honest to God, please understand. Sometimes you didn't do anything fucking wrong. That's okay. It's okay for it to not be your fault. You can't tell yourself it's your fault if it's not your fault. But you do need to be 100% with that fact. If you don't think it's your fault, you need to be 100. Because if you're not, you're missing lessons. And I think one of the biggest opportunities that people miss out on is reflecting on themselves and missing lessons to improve. You need to have them. Lessons are important. The tiny amount of life skills that school has taught me is to be able to sit down and repeatedly think about the same thing over and over again makes you really fucking good at it. So if you're able to sit down, or even not sit down, what I do, I think about this stuff throughout the day. I'm helping a customer at work and my brain is off. It's natural to me, right? I don't mess it up. But it's natural to me to be thinking about reflection. How could I have done that conversation with the customer better? I'm thinking as the conversation is going. You think, oh, fuck, that was stupid. But what your next thought should be, you can always think, oh, fuck, that was stupid. You can't think, I'm worthless. You should think, fuck, that was stupid. How can I improve on it? What should I try to remember next time? How can I make myself remember? What I do is I talk to my boss. I'm not kidding. I talked to my boss today and said, hey, I'm having trouble remembering this. Can we implement something here to help me and the other employees remember this? I did. I took initiative. And he said, yeah, go ahead. I put up an idea. He said, go right ahead. Sounds great. Perfect. I was like, you know what? That's great. I had some action. I took action and it worked. It's not always going to work, but a lot of time it fucking will. Take action. I don't mean find the motherfucker who's a little bit crazy and sock him across the face. I don't mean violent action. I mean, take action to improve yourself. Take action to reflect. If you can't tell, today's about reflection. You need to reflect on the past and on the present. And by present, I mean like current timing-wise and the current stage of life you're in and what this chapter of your life is. Because right now, I've recently started a new chapter. It's okay. It's okay to change. I don't love change. I hate day-to-day change. I do kind of like changing and growing. That goes back to the progress. Progress and growth are equal. Growth is a type of progress. As you progress, you can't lose yourself. But also, as you're learning and trying to enjoy life, you can't lose yourself. I've seen this happen a lot. Is where someone says, I've been doing well, I'm going to reward myself. And in turn, they take a little bit too long. And then they lose themselves. Physically, mentally, psychologically, every way they change as a person. And not for the good. They don't learn. But they change their mannerisms. And mannerisms is a large thing that a lot of people don't recognize. They become distant, rude, dickish. I like that term, actually. I love it. I think it's perfect. People change. And it's okay, but make sure you're changing for the better. And if you're not, haul ass to flip that and go back. I don't have much else today. But please, don't lose yourself. For someone, always recognize that other people might have an agenda. And if you're like me and you're easy to trust others, recognize that people can use that against you. And some will. Some will inadvertently. And that's even harder of a thing because you can't tell them to stop too easily. It feels bad. But if someone's using you in any way, get it to stop. And I would say the respectable thing to do is to tell them and get it to stop. But sometimes some people don't deserve respect. So just dropping them is okay. It is. Saying, hey, this ain't fucking working. Or not saying anything at all. What you can't do is lie about the purpose of losing someone. Or dropping, I should say. This infuriates me when someone says, well, if someone did this, I'd just tell them something else was up and then I would leave them. No. Because then you're telling them there's a problem where there isn't a problem. They will reflect and improve on that issue without having the actual issue. And if you don't want to give someone the issue, I know I said in the last video, oh, you should always give someone the issue. Sometimes you don't fucking have to. So if someone asks you, if someone's fucking with you and you're like, I gotta get out of this, I don't have time to tell them. Don't lie. Because then you become a bad person. And I don't mean you're worse than them. I just mean that you are bad. Just fucking leave. People don't know that's an option. To just leave. It's a free fucking will, people. Leave. And if you're in a domestic abuse situation, this does not apply to you. Please listen. Because there's trauma. There is a lot of manipulation going on there. If there's any manipulation at all, what I say in most instances does not apply to you because I'm a privileged white kid and I'm not speaking on your stuff. Please understand that. And if you are, call 911. Please. I personally, Easton Weaver, am asking you, if you are in a situation like that, report it. Try to get better. If all you can do is leave a comment under this video, I'll help. I promise. We move past that though. Dude, fucking get out of that situation. You got a shitty girlfriend or boyfriend who's manipulating the fuck out of you and you feel like a worse person because of it? And you're like, yo, when did this oh shit, get the fuck out! Get out! If you're fucking naturally recognizing that your life around you is changing and you're like, this is weird. Am I changing as a person? Are my morals changing for someone? Get the fuck out! Now, your morals should be set by yourself, but it's okay to have others' interactions with helping construct your morals. They have to be more mature than you, know more than you on the situation. And also, they can't know that they're setting your own morals. Because then people will try to give you their morals. You have to rather experience other morals and fluctuations of them naturally and then reflect and choose yours. Find what's actually deep and important to you. For me, speaking on stuff always helps. That's why I have this. I speak on it. I upload it because I think it's fun. Y'all don't get anything out of this. I do. I get something out of this. Because I know that people could be watching this. People could see me and they see the real me. At least they see the partially real me because everyone hides behind a camera sometimes. I can tell you I do. Right now I'm hiding. If someone knows me in person, they don't know who's talking on the screen. It's different. That's okay. But what you can't do is hide your true morals. You can't change them. For others, I mean, you can't change them for others. You can change them because of others. That's different. Changing because of others is when someone brings new information to you or new ideas, and you change due to their reasoning, not for them, because of reasoning. You never want to move closer to someone with your morals. Your morals never shift towards someone. They shift towards future you. If you and someone are running parallel right here, and they're telling you morals, right? Telling you morals. Your morals should not go over here. They should not sway. They shouldn't sway towards them. They shouldn't join either. You shouldn't be doing this. What you can do is this and this. Or, oh shit, I learned something. Okay. They're parallel lines. They should never touch. They can be this close. They can be this close. They can be this close. But the moment they touch, they are one. Your morals should never shift, leaning towards someone to intersect with them. Now, I guess this wasn't a good analogy because that's just two people coming together with similar morals. That's not a bad thing, actually. If you and someone else can cohesively both agree on morals over time of self-reflection away from the other person and inadvertently have that happen, that's great. It should not be purposeful, though. You should not purposefully be changing to change your morals or someone else's morals to be closer together. That's not a thing. That's fucked. That's not yourself. Nor should your morals shift towards someone. These are your morals when you're 18, let's say. And when you're 30, one person can move, one person can stay the same. What should not happen is for this person, these people at 18, to be here. And then at 30, they're here. And at 30, this person is here. Trajectory meeting them. Should not happen. Don't meet others. Don't change for others. Change because of others' reasoning. You should not change yourself for someone. Change yourself because of someone's reasoning and advice. Put an effort to change yourself, but don't change yourself for others. That's what I'll leave you with today. I gotta go home. I gotta eat. I'm hungry. I have my appetite back now. That's nice. It's really nice. I had a week without an appetite. Sucked ass. Drink your water, people. I don't want to stop this. Have a great day, guys. I'll speak to you tomorrow.